In the bustling city of Lagos, where wealth and poverty collide, one woman moves like a shadow in the night. Her name is Amaka, a thief, but not just any thief. She has her own rules, her own justice. Amaka sneaks into a large mansion. She bypasses the security system, showing off her sharp skills. Inside, she locates a safe, opens it effortlessly, and retrieves stacks of cash. She places a note in the empty safe. "This is for the workers you refuse to pay." Amaka disappears into the night, blending into the crowded streets. The next morning, a group of factory workers celebrates as their overdue salaries are mysteriously paid. Amaka visits Mom Nkechi, a struggling vendor who has been trying to raise money for her son's surgery. Without saying a word, Amaka hands her an envelope full of cash and walks away. Mom Nkechi bursts into tears, calling her a savior. For Amaka, the joy of others was her only reward. But she knew the risks of her life, risks that could end it all. Meanwhile, investigative journalist Chike begins connecting a string of thefts tied to cryptic notes left behind. He vows to uncover the mysterious thief. Chike visits the mansion Amaka robbed before. The owner, a corrupt businessman, angrily rants about how he was targeted. Chike notices the note left behind and realizes it matches other thefts across Lagos. For Chike, uncovering the truth wasn't just a job. It was a mission to unmask those who lived in the shadows. Amaka, unaware of Chike's growing interest, plans her next heist, a corrupt politician's stash of hidden funds. Amaka infiltrates the politician's heavily guarded mansion. She outsmarts the guards, retrieves the stolen funds, and leaves another note. "This is for the people you stole from." As she escapes, Chike, tipped off by an informant, arrives at the scene. A tense chase ensues, but Amaka manages to vanish into the crowded streets. For the first time, Amaka felt a thrill she couldn't deny. But the game she was playing was growing dangerous. Flashbacks reveal Amaka's tragic childhood. Her younger brother, Chidi, died because their family couldn't afford medical treatment. Amaka, once a bright and innocent girl, turned to stealing after realizing the world was cruel to the powerless. Her brother's death wasn't just a loss, it was the spark that ignited her mission to save others from the pain she knew too well. In the present, Amaka quietly watches a family she helped from a distance, smiling faintly before slipping away. Amaka hears about an elderly woman, Mama Titi, about to lose her shop due to unpaid debts. Determined to help, she targets a greedy bank manager known for exploiting his clients. She sneaks into his home, retrieves evidence of his illegal activities, and leaves a note. "Your greed has consequences." Mama Titi's shop is saved, but Chike grows more determined to catch Amaka. Chike interviews the corrupt politician Amaka robbed before. During the interview, the politician blames his misfortunes on Lagos's growing crime rate. But Chike saw beyond the lies. The man wasn't a victim, he was a puppet master caught in his own web. Chike begins questioning if the mysterious thief might be exposing truths no one else dares to touch. Amaka's actions spark debates in the city. Some see her as a modern-day Robin Hood, while others view her as a criminal. On social media, the hashtag #AmakaTheThief trends, with mixed opinions about her motives. Amaka's fame was growing, but fame comes with a price. And she wasn't sure she was ready to pay it. Amaka targets a powerful gang hoarding food supplies meant for struggling families. She successfully infiltrates their warehouse but is spotted during her escape. A gang member recognizes her and vows revenge. Amaka barely escapes with her life. For the first time, Amaka realized her mission wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. Chike grows closer to identifying Amaka but starts questioning his motives. In a conversation with a colleague, he admits, "Maybe she's not just a thief. Maybe she's doing what we can't." Meanwhile, Amaka continues to watch over those she has helped, hiding in the shadows. Amaka and Chike cross paths at a local cafe. Unaware of each other's true identities, they strike up a conversation. Amaka introduces herself as Ngozi. For the first time in years, Amaka felt something she thought she had lost: connection. Chike confides in Ngozi about his frustration with the thief he's chasing. Amaka listens carefully, hiding her amusement. He didn't know that the thief he was hunting was sitting right across from him. The gang Amaka robbed before finds her hideout. They ransack the place, leaving a chilling note, "We'll find you." Amaka narrowly escapes and decides to lay low for a while. Chike unknowingly protects Amaka from gang members who corner her at the cafe. She thanks him, her feelings for him growing. For the first time, Amaka felt torn. Could she ever be honest with someone she cared about? Chike grows suspicious of Ngozi after noticing her evasiveness. Meanwhile, Amaka plans one last heist, a corrupt tycoon with ties to the gang hunting her. The lines between Amaka's worlds were blurring. And she knew it was only a matter of time before everything came crashing down. Amaka infiltrates the tycoon's mansion to expose his secret dealings. She uncovers evidence of his connection to the gang chasing her and gathers files that could bring him down. However, her heist is interrupted when security catches her on camera. Amaka was skilled, but even the best make mistakes. And this mistake could cost her everything. Chike hears about the robbery on the news and begins to suspect Ngozi might be connected to the thief. Amaka barely escapes the mansion but leaves a vital clue behind, her custom-made gloves. Chike, investigating the robbery, finds the gloves and begins piecing the puzzle together. For Chike, the truth was finally within reach. But would he be ready for what he'd discover? Meanwhile, the gang intensifies their search for Amaka, vowing to end her interference once and for all. The gang sets a trap for Amaka by targeting Mom Nkechi, whom she had helped before. Amaka walks into the ambush, narrowly escaping after a tense confrontation. Amaka's mission was no longer just about justice. It was about survival. Amaka realizes she can no longer continue her work alone and considers confiding in Chike. Chike visits Ngozi unexpectedly, finding her bruised and shaken after the ambush. His suspicions grow, but instead of confronting her, he decides to wait for her to open up. For Chike, the lines between personal and professional were becoming dangerously blurred. Amaka starts questioning whether she can truly trust him with her secret. Amaka decides to confess her secret to Chike. She reveals she is the thief he has been chasing, explaining her mission to help the oppressed. Chike is stunned but doesn't immediately report her. For Chike, the truth was a betrayal, and yet, he couldn't deny the admiration he felt for her courage. Meanwhile, the gang discovers Chike's connection to Amaka and plans to use him as bait. The gang kidnaps Chike, leaving a message for Amaka. "Come alone if you want him back." Amaka faces her toughest decision yet, risk her life to save Chike or let him pay the price for knowing her secret. Amaka confronts the gang at their hideout, using her wits and skills to outmaneuver them. A dramatic fight ensues, and with Chike's help, she escapes with him. For Amaka and Chike, the battle wasn't just against the gang, it was against the demons of their own choices. Chike begins to see Amaka's world through her eyes, but he warns her that her luck will eventually run out. The tycoon Amaka robbed before uses his influence to hire mercenaries to hunt her down. Amaka realizes she's now being targeted by both criminals and powerful elites. Amaka's fight for justice had made her enemies of the most dangerous kind. Chike begins gathering evidence to expose the tycoon's corruption, hoping to shift the tide in Amaka's favor. Amaka and Chike bond as they hide out in a remote village. Amaka opens up about her brother's death and her motivations for becoming a thief. Chike shares his struggles with balancing his ethics as a journalist. In the quiet of the village, two souls found solace in each other. But peace was fleeting. Chike publishes a damning exposé on the tycoon's illegal activities, causing public outrage. The tycoon is arrested, but his mercenaries remain at large, determined to finish their mission. One enemy had fallen, but Amaka's fight was far from over. A former gang member, disillusioned by the violence, offers to help Amaka bring down the gang. With insider knowledge, Amaka begins dismantling the gang's operations piece by piece. Even in the darkest corners, light can find a way to shine. Chike worries that Amaka is taking too many risks, but she insists it's the only way to end the cycle of corruption. Amaka plans one last heist to steal incriminating evidence from the gang leader's mansion. The evidence will expose the gang's connections to politicians and elites. The heist is her most dangerous yet, with the gang leader anticipating her every move. For Amaka, this wasn't just a heist, it was her legacy. The former gang member betrays Amaka, tipping off the gang leader about her plans. Amaka walks into a trap but manages to escape after a fierce showdown. Trust had always been a luxury Amaka couldn't afford. Chike convinces Amaka to regroup and reconsider her approach, fearing she's pushing herself too far. Inspired by Amaka's bravery, the community she has helped bands together to confront the gang. Ordinary citizens, armed with courage and determination, take a stand against their oppressors. Amaka's mission was no longer hers alone. It had become a movement. The gang begins losing its grip on power, and Amaka prepares for the final confrontation. Amaka confronts the gang leader in a dramatic finale. After a tense battle, she retrieves the evidence and hands it over to Chike, ensuring justice will be served. For Amaka, victory came at a cost. But it was a cost she was willing to pay. With her mission complete, Amaka disappears into the night, leaving Chike and the community to continue her work and leaving a note for Chike. The fight for justice never ends. Take care of them for me. And just like that, the shadow in the night was gone. But her light would never fade.